Hey, good evening. So we finished Hanukkah, and just a second. למה זה עושה תמיד אותה? טוב. Okay, we finished Hanukkah and we continue with the regular parashot, and we are in the middle of the story of the Yosef and the brothers when he said that he want to take Binyamin as a slave, and then Yehuda come forward and speak. So this is where the parasha, the former parasha ended, and now we start the parasha with Yehuda stepping forward and speaking for Binyamin. Okay, so it says, Vayigash elav Yehuda, Vayomer bi Adoni. So Yehuda approached to him and said, Bi Adoni. So Bi Adoni, it's like a way of swearing or committing or Be Adoni, like in myself, I'm speaking to you. I'm begging to you, my master. Okay? Be Adoni. ידבר לעבדך דבר באוזני אדוני, your slave, you will speak something, or let your slave speak something in the ear of my master, and אל יחרפך בעבדך, don't be mad on your slave, כי חמוך כפרעה, because you are like Pharaoh. So this is the first verse in the parasha, and of course every word here should be understood what exactly he wants to say. The Mefarshim speaks about mainly, I would say, three words that are a little bit hard to understand what they say. First of all, Vayigash elav Yehuda. Why approach? What does it mean that he approached? They were standing in the same room, right? He was in the same room. What?
It says in the previous one in Miketz, Naflu Arza.
Yeah, but they were in front.
Yosef and Naflu Arza.
They were in front of Yosef. Yosef told them the last verse in the former parasha, they were speaking to him. And Yosef told him, now you go away, Binyamin is here, you go away, לכו בשלום אל אביכם. Go in peace to your father. So they are speaking to each other. Right? So why he has to approach? They're already speaking. Right?
So when you want to threaten someone, you get close to them.
Okay, so you give an answer, but the words here usually it's something that usually is not said in the Torah. And he approached and told him. Just say he told him, he answered him, he told him, Vayan, Vayomer, he told him, right? He answered to him. And here we have something else. What does it mean that he approached into him? So we will speak mainly about these two words. What does it mean that he approached to him? And then also here, for example, ידבר נא עבדך דבר. I will speak a thing. What does it mean, a thing? I will speak in your ears. So we understand that he asked permission to speak. Let me speak in front of you. But what does it mean, a thing? Speak in front of him. And what does it mean that you are like Paro? What he wants to add with that? So it's maybe something like a reverence, like you are great and I'm begging you for your greatness, for your power, that you will forgive us, something like that. Okay. But Yehuda tshuva. Why do you see here the tshuva in what? All the speech. The way he speaks, you say that he's your servant. I think that was a regular way to speak to a king or something like that. It usually would say my master or yeah, but all this speech, it's exactly the moment when Yehuda is doing the opposite of what he did last time, right? He sacrificed himself for his brother in place of saving his brother. Okay, yeah. So, like I said before, I want to focus in the word Vayigash elav, right? So this is it's the name of the parasha, Vayigash, and many times the name of the parasha include the significant or the essence of the parasha. The main point of the parasha is hid or hinted in the name of the parasha. So maybe I don't want to say why it's all the parasha, but these are very special words. Usually we don't see that in the Torah. We did see the word Vayigash or Lageshet, to approach, in the Torah in other cases, but it's not so usual to use it in this context of someone as it's going to speak to someone else. He just say, and he spoke to, or he answered to, right? He doesn't say he approached and spoke. ויגש אליו יהודה ויום. That's, or in the words of Orach Chaim, many, it's not only the Orach Chaim, many Mefarshim ask that clearly, I mean, explicitly or hinting this question by answering directly. You know that there is in the Mefarshim, many times it's called She'ela Smuya, hidden question. What does it mean? They directly answer the question without saying the question. So once you say the answer, you can understand what was the question, right? By answering. So it looks like he's mefaresh, but when he's mefaresh, when he's giving the perush, he actually answering a question. That is called hidden question. So many just directly answer this question, other mention the question. That's what Orach Chaim say. צריך לדקדק, you should look, understand carefully in the word. למה הוא צריך לומר ויגש אחר שקרוב אליו היה? הוא מדבר עמו עד עתה. Why did he have to say, why the Torah had to say ויגש and the approach, since he was close to him and he was already speaking until now? So all the last verses in the end of the parasha where they were speaking to each other. So what does it mean that he approached? So Orach Chaim gives two perushim, one according to the pshat and other that is drash, meaning some deeper explanation. I think it's very interesting and with a very important message. So the literal understanding or the simple understanding, it's the common way that most of the Mefarshim answer. I will just say that in my words, it get closer than usual. So Greg said to threaten, right? Like you want to approach in a threatened way, which is not something that is recommended inside the palace. You probably will get killed or something like that. But it's somehow you get closer to him. So some say to threat, others say because he didn't want to embarrass him. He wanted to say hard words to him, accuse him with some things. He didn't want other people to hear that, so he got closer, and then he get a little bit closer, and then he asking, please let me continue telling you something in person because I don't want other people to hear. Okay, so this is let's see in the words of Orach Chaim, אכן פשט הכתוב הוא, the simple understanding of the verses, כי דבר ידוע הוא כי מנהג המלכים ישבו לפניהם גדולי המלכות ושרים ויועציהם. So usually the kings, Yosef wasn't a king, but he was a second to the king, which is almost like a king. Usually they are not sitting alone in the palace, in the court of the palace. They are sitting and in front of them there are advisors and ministers and important people. והיה אם בא איש על דבר משפט או דבר מאת המלך, לא יעמוד בהפסק בין המלך ושריו וישוב משנה במלכות. So when a person comes, it doesn't stand between the people that are in front of the king and the king. No, he is in front of the other people, right? He is far away from the king. וחוץ לעיגול יעמוד בשעת, like there is a circle around the king, and he will stand outside the circle, not in the first line or after the first line. No. וכמו כן היה מדבר יהודה עד עתה. That is the way that Judah spoke to him until now. That it was Yosef far away, the people that are in front of Yosef, and then Judah and the brothers. And then ויגש אליו, פירוש שנכנס לפנים ממחיצתו, ועמד בין המלך ובין השרים כדי שלא ישמעו דבריו בזולת הנס. So he came closer in a way that only Yosef will hear. How could he come closer? Well, he could do that. Yosef didn't really want to kill him, nobody. So he let him approach and he approached. So this is the literal, the simple meaning that Yehuda came closer to Yosef than usually. But then, and like I said before, most of the Mefarshim go in this direction. Now we explain bederech drash. And this is something that is very important. I will explain in my words, and then after that. If you want to convince someone in something, you must first love him. Because if you are approaching in a way of hate, he probably will hate you back and won't accept your words. So even if you don't like this person, if you want to convince him, you must develop a little bit of love at least. So this approaching, it's not physical, it's spiritual or emotional. Yehuda obligate himself to love this person that he didn't know who it is. There is also different perushim. Did Yehuda already understood that he's standing in front of Yosef? Or he didn't know yet? So I tend to the second because it says that the brothers were shocked, were embarrassed when he revealed himself. But it can be understood in both ways. In the psukim, you can understand both ways. But anyway, in order to be able to convince this, let's say, this goy, I say idolater that is so cruel that wants to take his brother, and he did all these games with them. They really hated him. And if you hate him, you cannot convince him. In order to be able to convince him, you must love him in some way. So you must approach, see the things in his eyes, try to understand him, to connect with him emotionally and spiritually, and then only you have a chance to convince him. That's what he says. בדרך דש ידבר אומרו, ויגש אליו על דרך אומרו, כמים הפנים לפנים, כן לב האדם לאדם. So there's a verse in Mishlei that says, the same as the water of the face to the face. What does it mean? They didn't have a lot of mirrors back then in the past. So if someone wants to look on himself, he should look on the water, on the lake, right? So it says, the same as the water of the face reflects the face, the same way the heart of the person in front of you reflects your heart towards him, right? So meaning that the way you feel about the other person, he will feel about you. And so if Yehuda wants to convince Yosef to make him love him, he must love him first. ולזה נתחכם יהודה להטות לב יוסף עליו לרחמים, והקריב דעתו ורצונו אליו, לאהבו ולחבבו, כדי שתתקרב דעתו של יוסף אליו לקבל דבריו ופיוסו. So יהודה נתחכם, meaning was smart, was trying to be smart, to remove or to move the heart of Yosef towards him in a merciful way. So he made his mind and his will closer to him, to Yosef, to love him and to like him. So in that way, also the mind of Yosef will come closer to Yehuda, and he will accept his words and his begging. And he was obligated to do that because, so meaning he was obligated to work on himself to love Yosef, because he says by nature, לא יחבבו בני יעקב עובדי עבודה זרה, כי לא ינוח שבט הרשע על גורל הצדיקים. It's a verse in Tehillim, meaning the sons of Yaakov didn't like the idolatress. Idolatress is? Idolaters. So the sons of Yaakov didn't like the idolaters. They were their enemies. They were the opposite, the spiritual enemies of the sons of Yaakov. So basically his basic approach, his basic nature was to hate the person that was in front of him. And then he understood that if he wants to try to convince him, he must change his attitude, his heart first, meaning, and it's not a game. That's what I'm trying to say. It's real. You must really love him, or like him at least. It's not like you are pretending to like him. You must change yourself, your soul, your mind, in a way that you really feel some kind of closeness to the person in front of you, and this is your only chance to convince him. I think it's a great lesson. And sometimes we really love the people in front of us, but we forget that in the moment of anger, when we try to change their mind, or we are in conflict with them, is a discussion. So we instead of increasing the love, we increase in the conflict, right? So the right way to convince someone is first feel close to him, and then you can convince him. That's what he said. לזה הוא צריך לפי שעה להפך המוטבע. He needed, at least temporarily, to reverse his nature. ולהגישו בלבבו, he should approach him within heart, ולהשיבו בתבע נדלים. And that's the way he can convince him. Okay, so this is, I think, very important Perush, interpretation of these words, and a very important lesson for life. Now, we are going to see the Midrash. The Midrash goes in another direction. He says, let's see where else in the Torah, in the Bible, we use the word Vayigash, or Lageshet, the root of the word approach. And we can find that the Torah or the Tanakh generally, not only in the Torah, also all the Tanakh, uses the word approach in different meaning. And then the Midrash says, כתיב טוב אשר תאחז בזה וגם מזה אל תנח את ידיך וירא אלוהים יצא את כולם. Verse in Kohelet, that means you should take that and also the other, don't neglect other, you should hold that and hold the other, and because you want to go in all directions, right? To cover all the options. What does it mean? החכם בזמן שרוצה לעשות דבר אוחז בהרבה עניינים לפי שלא יודע איזה ישר. A wise person that want to make something, he try to take all the possible means because he doesn't know which one of them will succeed. And this is exactly what Yehuda did. שהרי Yehuda, the Midrash says, this is the proof of that, is from Yehuda, that he went in different direction when Binyamin was caught and he wanted to save him. שנאמר ויגש אליו יהודה, like it says ויגש אליו, and he approached to him. What does it mean? רבי יהודה אומר, הגשה למלחמה. The word approach used when someone is approaching to battle. Like we saw, כמו שנאמר, כעניין שנאמר, ויגש יואב והעם אשר איתו למלחמה. That Yoav approached to make a war. I think he was against Moab. When there was the war from the back and from the front, and Yoav approached to one side and Avishai to the other, but I'm not sure that this is the context. Anyway, the verse say clearly that approach is to a war. So Yehuda approach also in a way of, I'm going to have a war against you. So there are some midrashim, threatening, etc. רבי נחמיה אומר הגשה לפיוס, כעניין שנאמר, ויגשו בני יהודה אל יהושע בגלגל. So we found the word agasha, lageshet, to approach also in the meaning of לפייס. לפייס is to convince someone, to make peace.
To appease.
To appease, yeah, to appease someone. Over there is when Caleb asking from Joshua is a part of Hebron in the land of Israel. So he's appeasing him, he's approaching him in a way of appeasing. רבנן אמרי הגשה לתפילה. So approaching also used in the context of תפילה, שנאמר ויהי כעלות המנחה ויגש אליהו. So this is a famous story about הר הכרמל, אליהו ונביאי הבעל. So there was a competition who will be able to bring fire from the heaven, from sky, on the altar. So the prophets of the Baal tried all day, and they half of the day, and they failed. And then it says, in the time when the mincha, when the afternoon came, Vayigash Eliyahu approached, and then the next verse is a prayer. So we understand that approaching is approaching with a prayer. So what, Yehuda prayed to Yosef? No, he prayed to God. Right? So while approaching and speaking with Yosef, he also spoke with God. That is something that the Chassidut is very focusing on that part. So we learn it from Yehuda, not only how to convince other people, but also how to pray. Right? So he did all these three things. So this is the first explanation of the Midrash, and then there is the Midrash continues the other part, and it says he found other things that are related to the word לגשת. רבי מאיר אומר, ויגש לשון שלום. כעניין שנאמר, ויגש דוד את העם, וישאל להם לשלום. So David approached to the people and asked how they are doing, right, for the peace. So approach is also trying to get peace. So Yehuda is trying to have peace with Yosef. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, so we had before Rabbi Yehuda, and now it's another Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe because it's Yehuda, he felt that he has to explain. More than that, maybe something that alluding to the explanation of Orach Chaim. ויגש לשון אהבה, שנאמר ויגש וישק לו. And he approached and kissed him. I think it's Lavan with Yaakov. I'm not sure. Vayigash, Vayisha. No, it's with Esav. I don't remember. Anyway, we can see that Lageshet, to approach, is also to love. That may be said. He had to love him in order to accept his forgiveness.
Yaakov and Esav.
Yaakov and Esav. Maybe. רבי נחמיה אומר, ויגש הוא לשון קורבן. לגשת is to sacrifice.
When he tried to kiss him, and when he tried to bite him on the neck, and instead turned it to battle.
Yeah, maybe. שנאמר, ויגש את פר החטאת. This is Aharon in Parashat Shmini, I think, that he approached and he brought the bull of the sin offering. So who is the sacrifice here? Yehuda himself. He said, I will be in his place. I will sacrifice myself for Binyamin. רבי יוסי אומר, ויגש לשון נזיפה, שנאמר, ויאמרו גש הלאה, האחד בא לשפוט וישפוט שפוט. This is, אחד בא לגור וישפוט שפוט. This is the people of Sodom say to Noach. They are rebuking him. You came here as a resident and you are starting to judge us. So Yehuda is rebuking Yosef on his behavior. רבי נתן אומר, ויגש לשון מישוש. מישוש is to touch someone, to feel him physically. So you came to touch Yosef. Maybe it's שנאמר, where we see that, גשנה ועמושך בני. In the blessing that Yitzchak gave to Yaakov, so he said, I am Esav. He said, come here, approach to me, and I will feel you. Okay, so all these things Yehuda did, according to this midrash, or at least some of them. He was approaching for war, for appeasing, for prayer, to have peace, to love, emotional connection, to love him, to sacrifice himself, and to rebuke him, and to feel him physically. I don't know exactly the last what does it mean, but anyway, all that are true. So like I said before, you can take from that a lot of advices, how to convince people or how to speak with people in a way. But in the Hasidut, they are mainly focusing on the tefillah. We are learning how to approach for a prayer, or not only that. We're going to see some, I didn't bring all, because there are many different explanations. What does it mean and how can we learn from that? The right way to pray or to speak with Hashem, or what is the right approach. And so we will see only some of them. So the first of them, Rabbi Aaron Agadol from Kerlin, he says, ויגש אליו יהודה, כשאדם רוצה להגיש ולקרב עצמו לקדוש ברוך הוא, יש לו מקודם הגשה למלחמה. So he combined all this explanation and instead it's a process. You start with a war, you continue with a prayer, and you are ending with appeasing. How it works, he says, before you are approaching to pray, you first must prepare for a war against whom? Not against God, against your יצר הרע. היינו מלחמת היצר הרע שעומד ולוחם כנגדו ואינו מניחו. עד שהקדוש ברוך הוא עוזר ומנצח המלחמה, ואז נתקרב לקדוש ברוך הוא וניגש לתפילה. Before you are able to pray, you must first defeat your יצר הרע, but you can't, because יצר הרע is very strong. So you're praying to Hashem to ask to help you with that. So you will be able to pray. So you will pray that you will be able to pray. Or you are starting a war against your יצר הרע with the help of God, and only when you are defeating him and getting liberated from him for a while, then you are free to pray. Okay, because it's impossible to pray when you have יצר הרע. It says that especially when you have feeling on your head, you must be careful not to think things that are not allowed to think, because it's the moment when the feeling on you. Generally, the tefillah, the יצר הרע is very strong. You find ways to penetrate your mind, and you start to think about that and about the other, not necessarily about sins, but any kind of thing that distract you from the communication with God. This for itself is a sin. You are speaking with God while thinking about other things. Okay, so to be able to pray, first you have to defeat your יצר הרע. And so this is approaching to a war, and then approaching to a prayer. And after that, ואחר כך, שבא לזו המדרגה, אז בא לידי הבושה לפני עצמו, מה זו המלחמה שעלו מקודם, ומי הייתה המלחמה? After arriving to this level that you are able to pray, you are feel embarrassed. What? I had to fight this low tendencies that I have, these low inclinations, this יצר הרע, and I feel embarrassed. And then I feel that I must appease God for the fact that I had to have a war against my יצר הרע. So that's what he says. And in the end, ויגש אליו יהודה ולשון הודיה. So after you pray, או when you pray, כי כאשר בר ישראל עומד לתפילה, התפילה צריכה לגשת למעלה כלולה בהודעה על שזכה להתפלל לפני השם יתברך. You have to be very grateful for the fact that you are allowed to pray, that you are able to pray. So this is for itself, it's a gift. The gift of being able to pray. So when you pray, you should include inside your prayer a prayer or asking, help me overcome my Yetzer Hara, the prayer itself, and thank you for letting me pray for you. All these things are included in Vayigash, in the word Vayigash, Elav and Yehuda. Yehuda is Yehuda comes from the word lehodot, great, to thank, right, to be grateful. So this Yehuda is also part of the tefillah. This is the Beit Aaron. Now, Be'er Maim Chaim, he goes in other direction, and he also teaches something interesting about some cases in the Tanakh. He says that when you read about conversation of tzaddikim with bad people, you should understand that they speak in two levels. They speak to the bad person, or not necessarily bad person. Yes, examples here of bad person. So you speak with him, but at the same time you speak with God. So this is exactly what we say, Vayigash elav Yehuda, as Yehuda is approaching not only to Yosef, he's also approaching to Hashem. So he speaks in two levels. He speaks to Yosef, and he also speaks to Hashem. So this is the prayer that is included here is in the same word that he speaks to him, he speaks also to Hashem. Let's see. ובזה נבוא בביאור הכתוב, כי נודע למעמיקים בחוכמה, אשר צדיקים הגמורים ההולכים לפני השם בהשגת החוכמה ומדע, ידברו דברים בחוכמתם, אשר השומע ישמע שהוא מדבר אליו לכבודו. ולבוא לו כן יחשוב, כי הוא מדבר רק לפני מלך עולמים ברוך הוא, ואליו הוא נושא את נפשו. So he said that tzadikim, the righteous, always feel that they are in front of Hashem. שיוויתי השם לנגדי תמיד. They are always connected to Hashem. They are never separate themselves from this connection. So they speak to people, the people think they are speaking to them, and it can be understood that they are speaking to them, but they're really speaking to Hashem. Also when they with other people. So it doesn't say here necessarily bad people. So generally, when they're speaking with people, they're also speaking at the same time with Hashem. And then he gives several examples. כאמור בזוהר הקדוש, ומה שאמר החסיד דוד המלך עליו השלום לנעריו, שיאמרו משמו לנבל, כל אחי אתם שלום וגומר וזה לשון. So there is a story about Naval. Remember the story about Naval הכרמלי of David? So David, when he was escaping from Shaul, he was in the desert of Yehuda, in several places, and there was a place, a person very rich, called Naval, and David and his soldiers were keeping their his properties, right, against the Shaul wasn't functioning in this time, and the south, the desert was abandoned to all the
שהתנתק, הוא תכף יתחבר שוב בטח.
Yeah, I don't know why it was disconnected for a second. Okay, we'll continue now. Okay, so we won't enter now to all the story with David and his Naval. I just say that David sent to Naval when he asked for this reward. He says, "Atem shalom v'gomer," so peace upon you. And the Zohar ask, "Ve'ha'itmar de'asur le'akdum shalom l'reshaim." It says that you're not allowed to say hello, shalom, specifically shalom. The word shalom is the name of God, so it's not allowed to say shalom to wicked people. וכולי. So how David sent shalom to him? He could say good afternoon. He could say, I don't know, I hope you are well. Or something. What does it mean that he says shalom? אלא דאיתמר לקודשא בריחו, אלא איתמר דלקודשא בריחו הוא כאמר. וחשיב נבל דעלה כאמר וכולי, אין שם שייך בזה. So the Zohar say, no, David was speaking to God. Lavan thought that he's speaking to him, not Lavan, Naval. It's the same letters as Lavan. Lavan thought that he's speaking with him, but he really spoke to Hashem. So this is an example. When it looks like the tzaddikim speaking to the people, but they really speak with Hashem. And then also, וכן מצינו משתחוויית יעקב אבינו לפני עשיו 7 פעמים, שהייתה כוונת ליבו לשמיים לבד, להשתחוות לפני השכינה שעברה לפניו, כמאמר הכתוב, עובר לפני כמו שהיית בזוהר הקדוש. So also in the Zohar it says that, well, we read in the parasha that Yaakov met with Esav, that he bowed in front of him 7 times. And he's criticized for that in Chachamim, so there are different approaches to that. But the Zohar say, well, he didn't mean to bow to Esav. He really meant to God. Okay, so we see again, we are acting with human beings, but the meaning is to Hashem. And that's the reason also, Yehuda Bechir Hashem, the chosen for God, בבוא אל בית המלכות לבקש מלפני המלך שאלותיו. When he came to speak with the king about what he needed, ודאי אשר כוונת ליבו באמת היה רק למלך האמת מלך מלכי המלכים. ומאותו ביקש ושאל שאלתו, כי הוא עונה לכל שהוא מבקש. When he asked, he didn't ask from Yosef. He asked from God, who can give you what you need? It's not a king, it's God. So Yehuda speak in the revealed way, or in the simple way to Yosef, but he really meant all his words was meant to Hashem. And then we will see that the words also goes well when speaking to Hashem. And then he adds something important. When we are speaking about kings, it says, there is a verse that says, Lev melech biyad Hashem. The heart of the king is in the hands of God. The general decisions that are given in the hands of the leaders is really made by God, because in general, the more general it is, it's less to the free will of the people, right? We think that Netanyahu is doing that, and Sinwar is doing that, and Trump is doing that. The big things happening as a direct result of Hashem. So he says, especially when you speak to a king, you really speak to Hashem. בפרט בדבר הנוגע למלך, אשר לב מלכים ביד השם, especially thing that is related to God, because it says the heart of the kings is in the hand of God. ואינו תלוי בבחירתו כלל, he doesn't have choice. ודאי שרק לשמיים שם פני בקשתו, ורק שמר דברים שיסבור מלך הארץ של עבר. So he spoke in a way that the king will think that he's speaking to him, but he really meant to God. ועל כן אמרו חז"ל, רבא שם, in מדרש רבא, so I brought it from מדרש לקח טוב, it's a later מדרש, it's not, and because it's written in an easier way to understand, but the original, apparently the original, it's a מדרש רבא, בראשית רבא, so it says לקח טוב here. I think that לקח טוב is a collection of midrashim that were made later, in the Middle Age or something like that. Anyway, I'm not sure about that, but anyway, he brings it from מדרש רבא. על כן אמרו חז"ל ברבא שם, באומרו, ויגש הגשה לתפילה, ואין תפילה אלא בלב, כי בליבו היה מתפלל רק למקום לבד. He says, the main part of the תפילה is in the heart. We say, איזו היא עבודה שבלב, ואומר זאת תפילה. So we are obligated to say the words in our mouth. Without saying in our mouth, it's not good enough. But the main work of the tefillah is in the heart. So the effort, meaning in the kavanah, in the intention, in the thinking, in the thought, when you are praying, the main part is the main work is interior. It's not in the words. You must say the words, but it's in the heart. So when it says that he approached with tefillah, meaning in his heart. ועל כן התחיל לדבר לפני אדון העולם. When he spoke with God, ואמר בי אדוני. כלומר, שאני מבקש מלפניך במה שאני מכנה אותך לאדון לי, שאינו מהמוסר, ואך מה אעשה ועל כוחך אתה אדוני, ידבר נא עבדך. He said, you are my master, even though I'm not deserved to be your servant, that's the reality, what can I do? So I ask you to allow me to speak in front of you. ידבר נא עבדך דבר באוזני אדוני, פירוש שאני אדבר דבר שאין לו שומע, רק אוזני אדוני. So what does it mean? I will speak in the ears of my master. So the other Mefarshim say, I want to say something secret to you, only to your ear. It's that you just say to yourself, like we say in the beginning, I want to approach closer and say something only to your ears. But here, if you speak with God, he said, I'm saying something that only you can hear me. Only you can really understand what I mean when I speak. Yosef will understand the lower level of the words, not the real meaning, not my heart. Yeah, Yudah doesn't know that in that moment, according to this way that we are going now. Yudah say to Yosef, I will speak something in your ears. What he really means, God, I'm speaking to you in a way that only you will understand. I don't know if Yosef understood all that Ma'alach according to this Mefaresh, right? But we are trying now to understand the words to see how they are directed to God, not to Yosef, not to the king that is in front of Yehuda. דבר, פירוש, שאני אדבר דבר שאין לו שומע רק אוזני אדוני. I will say something that only the ears of my master, meaning God, can really hear them. There's no other person that understand my words and my intention in this world will enter to your ears because you are the one who hear prayer. ותכף חזר לומר במה שאמר ידבר נא עבדך שכינה את עצמו לעבד אלוקי עולם שאינו ראוי לזה, ביקש וענה אל יחר אפך במה שאמרתי עבדך אני שאיני כדאי והגון לזה לרוב גדולתך וקדושתך. Then he say ואל יחר אפך בעבדך. Don't be mad on your slave. What does it mean? Don't be mad, Hashem, that I define myself as your slave, as I not deserve to be your slave, right? I'm not to be called the Eved Hashem, the servant of God. There are very few people in the Bible that are called Eved Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu, Yoshua, and I think that's it. About the Mashiach, it says, Mi iver ke'avdi. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, he said, he's asked forgiveness for calling himself the servant of Hashem. Don't be mad that I'm calling myself, Al yichar apecha be'avdecha, in me calling myself your slave. ואם תאמר, מניין אני יודע גדולתך וקדושתך, and if you ask, how do I know that you are so holy and great, that Yehuda say, speak with Hashem, how do I know that you, Hashem, are so great? הלא מעולם לא הייתי בשמיים לראות עוזך וכבודך. I've never been in the heaven to see how great you are, so how do I know? כי כמוך כפרעה. I learned from the greatness of Paro to your greatness. So if a human being can be like that, Kal Vachomer, let alone the creator so we learning from the honor or greatness of human kings, the greatness, we try to start to imagine what is the meaning, the greatness of God. אנו למדים אשר גדולתך וקדושתך ולמעלה מלמעלה, ונאה לקדוש פאר מקדושים, הם העירים קדישים וכל צבא מעלה, ולא מאיתי בשר ודם. And he said a little bit more than that. Not only that, this is king, is human. And then, much more than him, we have all the servants of God in heaven, meaning the sun and the stars and the moons. And we're taking that and we are thinking much, much more than that. And then we say, we start to hold something related to understanding what is the meaning of God. על כן אני מבקש ומתחנן לפניך, על דברי עבדך אני, כי הכרח לא יגונה לו מהדבר שהוא עומד ובכרח כן ודאי שתראה. Okay, so that is this explanation that is speaking directly to Hashem. There are several more explanations. Slave of God or servant of God means that you are able to make all your work, all your life dedicated to serve Hashem, to the worship of Hashem. In the Tanakh, it say directly, if I'm not wrong, only about
Moshe and
Moshe
Yoshua.
and Yoshua. So Moshe, it says in the beginning of Yoshua,
Moshe Avdecha.
וימות משה עבד השם. אחרי מות משה עבד השם. So he is called Eved Hashem. And then in the end of the Sefer, of the book of Yoshua, Yoshua is also called Eved Hashem, I think. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, it's a very rare title to be called Eved Hashem, meaning that you really could live your life in such a meaningful way that all your life is around this. All your life around doing good, serving a God in that meaning. So I want to see another one explanation. I'm not sure which one of them. Let's see this one. Okay, let's see, because it's another practical advice here about prayer. So like I said, there are many ways the Chachamim learning here how to pray about certain things, different things. So we'll see that. ויגש אליו יהודה. במדרש רבה כתיב, so there's another midrash, I didn't bring this midrash here, it says, תפוחי זהב ומשכיות כסף דבר דבור על אופניו. So this is a verse, I think in Mishlei, and it says, apple of gold, in משכיות, it's like a
bowl.
bowl of silver. It's when someone is speak in the right way. דבר דבור על אופניו. Something that it says in the right way. This is a verse. And the Midrash explain, מה אופן זה מראים פנים מכל צד? אופניו, so I translated it as different ways, but אופן, it's also one of on the angel, that you know that the Ofanim in the story of the Merkava, so there is the prophecy of Yechezkel that he saw the divine chariot, and there are the Ofanim, the angels, and each side they have other face of a man, face of an eagle, face of a lion, and face of a bull, I think. So it said the same as Ofan, wherever you look on it, you see other face, and each one of them has importance. This is also מכך היו דבריו של יהודה נראים לכל צד בשעה שדיבר יוסף. So יהודה spoke in a multiple levels, in a multiple dimensions. Each side that you're looking, you learn something. You look in approaching to a war, you learn how to approach to a war. Prayer, you learn about prayer, etc. So the words of Yehuda can be learned in so many ways. That's what the Midrash says. רומז, it says, alluding here, the Midrash alluding here, כי דברי יהודה and יוסף יש בהם כמה רמזים. There's a lot of hints in the words of יהודה to יוסף. הן לשלום, הן למחלוקת. Either whether you are going to have peace with someone or you are going to have conflicts. Both cases you can learn from Yehuda. So there are two dimensions, two aspects of his words. ויש בהם סודות נפלאים. There are great secrets in the speech of יהודה to יוסף. ושמעתי מפה קדוש אדמו"ר הגאון מורנו, I don't know who is what, הדלת בית. Who is this? I don't know, I'm not sure. כי הכתוב הורה לנו דרך תפילה, שצריך הצדיק להתפלל עבור בני ישראל. So he says here we learn how the tzaddik should pray for other people. Because Yehuda is praying not for himself, he's praying for Binyamin. So when you pray for someone else, how should you do that? That is what we learn, one of the things that we learn from Yehuda. He said, for example, להמשיך רפואה לחולים, ופקודה לעקרות, ולכל איש די מחסור אשר שר לו. If you want to pray for the healing of someone. So he's speaking about tzaddikim, but I think we also can learn about, not only the tzaddikim, also we can learn how, when you pray for someone else, how you do that. So he mentioned several cases for sick people, for infertile women, akarot, infertile women, and any person that needs something that you want to pray for him that he will get what he needs. So he said, אכן, כאשר הצדיק מתפלל על איש פרטי, when the tzaddik is praying for individual, for one specific individual, לפעמים, חס ושלום, יש קטרוג על אותו פלוני עבור איזה חטא. Sometimes there is קטרוג. קטרוג is when in the sky there is someone that's speaking against this person because he had some sin. So you're praying for him, but this person did something bad. And it's like a screen, something that's blocking the prayer to work. So in the heavens they say, you pray for him, but he did that and that, so why would we help him? הוא מעכב תפילת הצדיק מלעשות רושם ולפעול פעולתו. So this קטרוג is delaying, is avoiding, rejecting the prayer of the tzaddik, so it cannot work, it cannot act, affect this person. So what is the solution for that? לכן יש תקנה לזה להתפלל הכל במחשבתו הרצויה למען כבוד השם. So when you are praying, you say, I'm not praying for this person, I'm praying for the honor of God. כי איתה בגמרא, because the Gemara says, על דמן של רשעים שנשפך, שכינת השם אומרת, קלני מראשי, קלני מזרועי. So the Gemara says that when Hashem punished it's not exactly what the Gemara says, but that you can explain the Gemara in that way, that when Hashem punished the wicked, he is hurt from that. He is painful. He says, I have a headache. Kalani meroshi. My head is hurt. My hand is hurt. וקל וחומר לדמן של צדיקים חלילה. And let alone for the righteous. So even though this person maybe had a sin, but it doesn't mean he's not a righteous person. So what he's saying, if this man suffer, Hashem suffer. So I'm praying not because I don't want this person to suffer. I'm praying because I don't want God to suffer when he sees his son suffering. Right? So Hashem care about the people. And when he have to punish them, he has to punish them because what they did, but he feel bad about that. So I don't want you, God, to feel bad, not this person, not only this person. Okay? So this is the argument that the tzaddik has to do. אם כן, יש להתפלל בכוונה זאת. You have to have this intention in your mind. דהיינו, כי כל ההשפעות שאני רוצה להביא לעולם, הוא עבור כבודך יתברך, שתתנסה ותתעלה, ויהיה לך תענוג מההשפעה. כי יותר ממה שהעגל רוצה לנהג, הפרה רוצה להעניק. So again, the כוונה is that all the things that I want to change, to bring to this world, me, the man who prayed, the person who prayed, the thing that I want to bring to the world, everything is for the honor of God. That you will be elevated in this world, and you will have the pleasure of giving blessing to these people. I want you to enjoy giving blessing to this person. Because what? יותר, there's a term that says, יותר ממה שהפרה רוצה, העגל רוצה לינוק, הפרה רוצה להעניק. More than the calf want to eat, the cow want to feed, to nurse. Right? So meaning, more than we want Hashem to give us blessing, he wants to give us blessing. So what we have to do when we are praying is to encourage him. Please, we want you to enjoy. We want you to give the blessing that you so want to do. So please, give him his blessing. והנה בתפילה על דרך זה נסתם פי המקטרגים. In that way, you can defeat the accusers, the bad angels that speaking against this person, because we are not talking about this person's sin, we're talking about Hashem. All we want, the interest of all of us is God, right? כי אפילו שזה האיש אינו ראוי במעשיו לקבל שפע רחמנות, even though this person is not deserved to receive this merciful from Hashem, אבל בוודאי הקדוש ברוך הוא ראוי להשפיע למען יתרומם כבודו ולמען תענוגו בהשפעה. So, but it's maybe this person doesn't deserve the blessing, but Hashem deserves to have that opportunity to bless, so his honor will be elevated and he will enjoy this blessing. And this is the meaning, Vayigash elav Yehuda, ki Yosef tzaddik yesod olam. So this is based on the Kabbalah. Yosef is called tzaddik yesod olam, the righteous in the base of the world. So tzaddik yesod olam is also God. So Yosef, in this conflict, Yosef represents God. ויהודה רומז להממליך אותו בהודאה. Yehuda comes from the word הודאה, thanks, gratefulness. And so the one who is crowning God with his gratefulness is Yehuda. So we have the person that is praying, which is Yehuda, in front of God, which is Yosef. Yourself symbolize God. ויגש אליו ויאמר בי אדוני. So he approached and he say, in me, in myself, is my Lord, meaning you are inside me, you God inside me, meaning all what I think is about you. It's not what is in myself, be Adoni. What is in myself is Adoni, which is God, right? כי עיקר כל מחשבתי למען כבודך. All what I think, all what I mean in my prayer is for your honor. שתמלוך לבדך ויהיה שמך עדו שם השם, right? לכן ידבר נא עבדך דבר באוזני אדוני, והליכה רפך בעבדיך, כי אז אין שטן ואין פגע רק כנ"ל. So I want to speak in your ears, so you won't be mad, and in that way your honor will increase, and then nothing bad will come to this world. ודברי פי חכם חן. So this is the name of this Gaon that I'm not sure who is it. So we say when you are citing the interpretation of someone else, and you like it, you say דברי פי חכם חן. The words that come from the mouth of a wise person is grace, is kind. Okay, so it's like approving this explanation. Okay, so I mean, we saw several advices in our relationship with other people and in our relationship with God. The good advice of Orach Chaim, when you are approaching other people, you must love them. If you want them to be in your side, it will come from really loving them, and then will be able to convince them. This is the first advice that we saw, and the second advice that we saw, it's about prayer, that when you pray about other people, he said about other people, but I think also about yourself. When you're asking Hashem to give a blessing, to heal, to not punish, to find a way to reward, you should think this is a way where the honor of God will be elevated, and Hashem will have the pleasure of giving us blessing. And this is the main purpose. We only want to satisfy God, to worship God, and this is why we are asking. So this is another message. Okay, in the way we also saw that sometimes we should read when the tzaddikim speaking in the Torah also as it is directed to Hashem. Then you can understand another dimension of these words, of this conversation. Okay, that's it.
Yes, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.